Well, let me readjust my screen quickly because this is what happens when you jiggle around when you're off it. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa. It's Mystery Monday with our beautiful Brice. How are you, gorgeous?
I am so good. I'm feeling very calm today, even though I was just looking at a text from our friend Emmy saying I've been having crazy dreams. I think a lot of people have been having crazy dreams, but today I'm feeling pretty calm and pretty just here we are, another day. We're about to enter 2023, which we were laughing about before.
I know, how crazy is that? We were sitting here just before we went live and talking about the shadow work challenge that we are planning for next year. Very exciting. And I was like, what? 2023? It's just like I haven't even thought about that yet. It's just amazing. Wow. And
Have
what a
you?
year, hey? Gosh,
Well,
what a year.
I've been doing some research, and so I'll look at old footage for certain stories. Um, that are like from like 2012, 2013 on YouTube. And in my mind, that was yesterday. And then I look at the footage and I'm like, damn, this is old footage.
Exactly. 2015 to me, 2002 is like last year.
I know, right?
Wow. Okay. Hi, everybody. Wow. Nice to see you all in the chats here. Really good to have you all here with us today. Happy Monday. And we're nearly getting close to Christmas. I can't believe that either.
I know.
And I must say, I'm not a very Christmassy person because all that happens in my little town is that it gets full of tourists. And we all know how we feel about that. We live in small towns for a reason, right?
Well,
So, but anyway, they can have it for the next month. It's beautiful. So it's nice to share as well.
I'll
Anyway.
see if I can find. I posted a picture last year from me. So in the deep south, we do holidays big, and you think of still magnolias. It's big, and I posted a picture last year. I'll see if I can find it of myself, my sister, and one of my cousins when we were kids for our Christmas pictures, and we had these big dresses on, stockings on. My hair was curled. Well, my youngest cousin in the picture was a baby, and they'd sat her on the sofa for the picture, but they caught her mid-fall where she's falling off the sofa, and I looked pissed. And I commented, I said, here we are in these big dresses, these stockings. It's probably like 90 degrees outside, hot as hell, but yet the kids have to be stuck in these like polyester Christmas 90s get-ups for pictures. And I look pissed. I'm probably like maybe like 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know how old I was in the picture. And I'm just pissed. I'm like, I do not. My sister is the only one that looks slightly happy in this picture. Um, so whenever I think of Christmas, I just have that photo in my head of Christmas past of what it's supposed to be like here. But we
There's a beaut. I mean, of course, here in South Africa, Christmas is summer for us. It's very hot. It's middle of summer. So we would always go to, my parents had a holiday house in the Transkei, which is the wild coast here, really, really beautiful. And all I remember is getting sunburned. That's what Christmas is about for me, is being sunburned, lots of waves, and just beautiful. Anyway, merry, happy Christmas to all of you coming up. But I definitely will be chatting to you before then anyway. So today we are talking about Tablet 3, Part 3 of the Emerald Tablets. So we warned you this was going to be a long one. And I'm very looking forward to hear what the rest of this tablet has to say. So over to you, beautiful Brice.
And who knows how long it's going to take us to get through this one specific tablet, because it's, as I said last week, just to remind you guys, the first 2 tablets are kind of the who, what, where, when, why, and how of Thoth and the Emerald Tablets. They're telling us like what this is, what's happened, all that kind of stuff. Well, tablet 3, if you guys are following along, is the key of wisdom. And so literally every verse deserves commentary because there is a lot of wisdom here. And we're going to be starting today on tablet 3 verse 10. And I'm actually going to be I'm going for tablet 3. I'm going back and forth between 2 different commentaries. One, of course, is Doriel, which is the main guy. He's probably the most reputable that I'm working with. And another one is this lady, Rebecca Marina Messenger. And this is her specific book just on the third tablet. And I actually prefer her commentary and channeling for tablet 3 verse 10 than Doriel's, because Doriel's commentary actually doesn't make a lot of sense to me when we look at what this verse is actually saying. So the verse is, repeat thou not extravagant speech, neither listen thou to it, for it is utterance of one not in equilibrium. Speak thou not of it, so that he before thee may know thy wisdom. So let's look what the modern commentary. So when she channeled Thoth, what his modern commentary was, do not repeat gossip. So this is what extravagant speech means, is gossip. Do not even listen to it. For gossip is spoken by one who is not in balance. Do not repeat the things said, but gently keep silent. The one seeking to stir up unrest by vain words will realize there is no value in idle gossip. This may cause them to turn their own thoughts inward and become wiser. And then Shishat, who is his wife, her channeling on this is, idle words is a practice most commonly attributed to women, yet both males and females often seek to gain attention or a sense of importance by spreading gossip. As you react with an air of indifference or appear completely disinterested, the one seeking to gossip will fall silent. In trauma therapy, if you're dealing with like narcissistic abuse, does pertain a lot of smear campaigns and gossip. They have something called, I think it's called gray stoning, or it's basically where you just act disinterested in what the narcissist is saying, and they will eventually go away and stop, for your own progress.
It's interesting there that also, I don't know if you've read the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Louis. And one of the agreements is be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
So, and again, we talk about not just gossip, but to say something hurtful to someone else, hitting a wound in them, you don't know how that erodes, and you don't know what effect that has on their life long after the words have been said. So It's so important, and I love that it's, I was just thinking about be impeccable with your word as well. So it's echoing, be nice, be kind, be cool.
Exactly. Well, and it's so interesting because Catherine Edwards and I did a video this weekend kind of over this, and I thought this was so fascinating because we know, like, what is gossip, what is investigation, what is hearsay. So we're here in this great awakening right now, and Shanti and I, we talk a lot about the inner work, but when we're looking at the intel, we have people like Jesse Zaboter, like all these witnesses who are telling us what they've experienced. That itself that's not gossip. That is educational investigation. That is a witness testimony of things that have happened. But we also have all these other channels that are basically in this community that we're in that are basically built off of gossip, that are divining on other people without their consent just to spread rumors. So let's look at this. So when we look at something in this truther community, truther, whatever, I don't even like that word.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you know anything about that,
I
Catherine?
don't.
That would be interesting. What is the origin of the word gossip? Does anyone know? That's actually very interesting, because I think that's a very important topic to actually
dive deeper into. And I want to say, I don't think what they're saying here too, because I know that sometimes as human beings, we do need to vent. I get that. And I think that we all have trusted friends in our lives that we can vent to. I feel like Shanti is a friend of mine that I can call and vent to her about something. And I know it's not going to leave her it's a conversation and she gives me advice. Stephanie's that way. Catherine Edwards. I have friends that aren't on YouTube that I know I can vent to them, and it's a way to kind of get the energy out and reorganize my thoughts around a specific situation. But that itself, I don't believe is gossip, because that is you trying to course correct and feel clarity on a situation. But when you're making up stories about people, and I said this with Catherine Edwards, even in the court of law. So if we're looking at the court of law, what do they call gossip in the court of law? They call it hearsay. Hearsay is not allowed in a trial. It gets thrown out. There has to be factual evidence. So when we're looking, I think this is just so important for all of us watching right now and all of us in this community right now to understand, like, when we have people who are whistleblowers, who are showing actual evidence, with the whole Balenciaga thing, there's actual evidence that's being shown and photographs, of what they're saying. There's actual evidence, and that needs to be pointed out. But when you're making stuff up about people, are repeating harmful information without the facts to back up what you're saying, that is gossip. And you're right, Shanti. It's hurtful, and it's the one. There's a few nuggets in the Bible that are good.
It's spellcasting.
It is.
It's
it is literally
spellcasting. And I can tell you that as a healer, as an energy healer who sees, because I see in the body of my clients, literally where the blockages sit. And I'll tell you something, words, wow. You will be amazed at how much illness, disease, malfunctioning in the body and the mind, words can cause humans. I've seen that over the years. And one thing I always say tell people to do is, if you want to speak about people, say nice things. Yeah. Speak about people by all means, but say positive things, spread positive vibes. If you're hearing someone speaking shit about someone, say, well, I really actually like this and that and the next thing about them. Actually, they're not all bad. Maybe you think that, but this is my experience of them. So you can always come in with a positive energy into that equation, because when you can do that, you can turn things around. That's what alchemy is about. It's all about energy, spiritual alchemy. You can turn those words around. You can, there's a big difference between observing and judging. And again, speaking truth, exposing. What we do on our channel is we expose. What the underbelly, and the truth shall set us free. But it's not done in a way that we witch hunting. There's a big difference between that. So
I wanted to clarify that, because there's a huge difference. Like, if you are the victim of a crime, if something has been done to you and you need to go speak out for help, that is not gossip. Is literally making stories up about people, spreading damaging information about someone, because, and as they say here, because for gossip is spoken by one who is not in balance. So when somebody feels the need to spread gossip, if they feel the need to get on a channel and gossip about people, whether it's people they know or not, or whether it's someone in your social circle that's always gossiping about somebody else, it is because they are out of balance. They are the ones that are not in balance.
Absolutely. They're feeling that sense of crap inside of them, and they have to spew it out. It's called projection.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
My favorite saying is, like, when you point a finger at someone else, there's always three pointing right back at you, right? And so when somebody is gossiping about someone else being jealous or something like that, it's usually they are the ones who are jealous, and they're projecting that out onto somebody else because they are out of balance with healing that side of themselves. And so I wanted to make that very clear, that what the whistleblowers are doing, what researchers are doing, is not gossip, because they're looking for factual evidence to back up a suspicion. And like for me specifically on my channel, when I have a suspicion about something, but I don't have the evidence to back it, I will say very clearly, this is my opinion. This is about a certain thing. That's that. So I just wanted to make that very, very, very clear. So we go on to verse 11, where it says, silence is of great profits. Silence is of great profit. And abundance of speech profit nothing. So Thoth's commentary in this in modern English is, knowing when to keep silent is the marker of greater wisdom, which is what I kept saying last week. What's that famous saying? It's a wise man once said nothing. Talking incessantly is of no value and wears the patience thin. Shishat contributes her wisdom. Only in silence can the true wisdom of the heart be brought forward. When one is constantly speaking, there is no time for reflection. And I know that as a Vata person, I tend to speak when I get anxious, and that verbal diarrhea. So she's right. It's covering up something. So, and she goes on to say, as one learns to be calm and quiet, inner wisdom has a clear path to the surface. Constant input and output with no time left for silence is detrimental to the soul. And we know that through yoga, don't we, Shanti? Like finding that silence is a huge, huge part of the yoga path. He goes on to say from Doriel now, he says, silence is the greatest key to advancement. Retain power within thyself in silence. Make not yourself great, for all have the potentially the same power. Right? And that makes sense. You know, if we're
Be
looking
still and know that I am God. I mean, that's my favorite Bible verse, right? And that says it all. Because when you're still, you know who you are.
yeah.
And the answers pop up. Solutions just pop up.
Yes.
That's something big.
And I think when we all take that time to pause, like even, and I know that I believe that the Lucy's, the controllers, have made our environment that we live in so hectic and chaotic that most people don't have time, or they don't feel like they have time to take a pause. But even if you take just 5 minutes a day, just to sit down and just focus on your breath for 5 minutes, not speaking anything, just observing the thoughts, it's amazing how much that will actually shift everything.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I it's funny because I sleep with a weighted blanket, which is for anxiety. It's changed my life. But the weighted blanket, when you think of the silence, what the weighted blanket does is it holds me almost still. So it allows the nervous system a chance to kind of dissipate a little bit. And so it kind of goes back to that silence.
Almost like a hug. Almost
Yes.
like a hug, right? I would imagine it's like a hug.
Yes, it is almost like a hug. It has
Yeah.
been life-changing for me as far as my sleep but it reminds me of that silence because you feel the weighted blanket. I know a lot of people have had very positive reactions to these weighted blankets, but it holds the body kind of in a very loving way so that everything can calm down within the body. So that's super important. Silence is golden. So tablet 3 verse 12 said, exalt not thine heart above the children of men, lest it be brought lower than the dust. Thoth's commentary in modern English, do not think you are greater or more exalted than any other man or woman. When you enter into a sense of false pride, you are an easy target for self-humiliation. Know this, you are not greater than or less than any other being. Perhaps you may be in a different place energetically. Always return to the heart and be in a space of mercy and tenderness to all. Shishat says, it can be easy to feel like you are better than your brothers and sisters, especially if you have spent a lot of time in meditation and prayer. And that's the spiritual ego, which has come up a couple of times on my channel, that there is a spiritual ego.
I was about to say that. I mean, that spiritual ego is something else, you know, and that's something, you know, I talk about with Andy Bond a lot. Also, she's delved a lot into the infiltration of the Eastern teachings, and we're talking about that a lot at the moment, and how that whole spiritual ego, I meditate, I pray, I'm wise, I'm all of these things. I'm an old soul, you're a young soul, you'll still get there. Very, very ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, and we always say in Ashtanga, and it's funny, there's spiritual egos in every lineage, but I think about the traditional lineages, the traditional practices, not the secular contemporary yogas, but the traditional ones. They kick your ass so much you can't help but find humility. And we always say that the easiest students to teach are the beginner students and the advanced students, because both the beginner student and the advanced student know that they know nothing.
Yeah.
So it's the intermediate student that gets that spiritual ego and thinks they know everything. And you see it a lot. Like I have often laughed because you see it a lot when people turn that corner, because they become so dogmatic about everything. You need to do this and you need to do that, and they become so dogmatic that it's like this and then something shifts where you become a little less dogmatic, a little bit more balanced, a little bit more grounded. You know?
Isn't that kind of what most religions are about, though? I mean, if we think about so many wars that have been fought in the name of the Bible,
God,
right?
that's the peace. Yeah.
God. Exactly. So that's when we look at religion and the different religions that say, well, I'm the one, that's the one, this is the one, and thousands and millions of people have lost their lives because a few leaders who have spiritual ego have decided what everyone else needs to believe and how it has to be for the world. And this is exactly it, because for me, as we're just talking about this now, this is exactly what has gotten us into all the wars. It's the spiritual ego. I'm right, you wrong. When we understand that we are one and we just have different viewpoints, and if we just change the way we looked at things and open our perspective to a wider vision, there would be no wars. We would then understand who we are. So it's very interesting that, because my opinion, it's the spiritual ego, religion, and I'm not just talking about Christianity. I'm talking about all forms of religions in the different denominations as well. Buddhism has a lot of that as well. You've got a lot of different forms of Buddhism, and let me tell you, not all of them are pretty. We know about the Dalai Lama. We know about Gandhi. So, there's a lot of that going on there as well.
And there's a lot in the yoga world too. You look at the Bikram situation. There was a huge, and that happens a lot. And I want to really emphasize that, because, and I've talked about this with the Nexium stuff too. The teachings of Nancy Salzman with the Nexium stuff, her teachings are actually very valuable, but it was put into the wrong hands of Keith Raniere. And let's look at that with like Yogi Bhajan from the Kundalini shit show and the Bikram. Like, these are men who felt like they were greater than their students, so therefore took advantage of their students. And that's what I hate. I even hate the word prophet, because legit everyone's a prophet. Like, just not just so, there. You don't hear, not just one person or a select group of people hear from God. Everyone hears from God. Everyone. Exactly. And if somebody's saying, oh, this person's a prophet or that person's a prophet, but what they're saying is going against your gut instincts, how many times do you push your gut instincts aside because this person everyone says is a prophet? I mean, look at what happened here in the United States with the FLDS, with Warren Jeffs, because the Mormon church always has prophets that they have to listen to. And all these stuff, if you're not from the United States, you can look all this up. It's crazy what when this power comes into these people. We need teachers. Of course we need teachers. But I have to say, my teacher does a really good job of not crossing that line, of pretending like he has some greater line to God than any of his students do. What he works with us is through the practice of yoga, talking through the philosophy, but he never, any conference I've ever had with him, he's never told me what to do. If I have a question about something, he will speak to me in metaphors. That's it. He doesn't tell me what to do. He just brings up the philosophy. We talk through it, and then he lets me make my own decisions. So when you're looking into spiritual practices, be mindful of that. Be mindful of what is the teacher asking from you. Lionizing a teacher is not good. Lionizing YouTubers is not good. Lionizing celebrities is not good. We are all, one of my favorite quotes, I say we're all human beings. I had it on my Instagram, and I can't remember exactly how I'm paraphrasing. Right, whenever you walk around thinking you're hot shit, you're the best, just remember there was a time in your life when you were trying not to shit your pants. Like, we're all human beings. We're all going through this. And yes, if somebody has more experience in, and I say this in my classes all the time, because I think I'm a really good philosophy teacher, because I love the philosophy. And I say to my students all the time when we're talking about the philosophy, especially with yoga, like, if you figure out how to do this, let me know. Because just because I know the philosophy and I try to practice it daily, I'm still a student as well. I know, Shanti, like for us who teach, the only time I'm a yoga teacher is I'm a student. Oh, did I lose you, Shanti?
Yeah.
You there?
There you are.
Are you there?
There you are. I lost you there for a second. Yeah.
Well, Shishat goes on to say, so let me read the first paragraph again. She says, it can be easy to feel like you were better than your brothers and sisters, especially if you had spent a lot of time. And that just hit me too. How many of us in this community think we're better than other people because we've woken up? But are you better? Because here's the way I see it. I was thinking about the zapper the other day. I like how you call the zapper, the Star Wars sword, the zapper, the other day. And I was like, we can sit here all we want and we can criticize those who did it. But in my perspective, God bless the ones who got it. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have the evidence. And so that was their role. And thank you to them. They're no better just because they don't. There was a time in your life that you were asleep too, that you didn't know about what was going on. So we can't judge anybody for not figuring it out yet. We all have roles to play and we all have different paths to take. And the law of one actually is very serious about this, that it is not your place to decide whether someone is a young soul or an old soul or whether they're ready to be harvested or not. That's not your place to do that.
It's a judgment.
It's a judgment. She goes on to say, this is simply your ego coming forth. It is times like these when you realize just how far you still have to go in your evolution. So when you think you're hot shit, that just shows how much further you have to go in your evolution. You can see how easy it is to get into the sense of false pride.
Invariably something's going to knock you off your little pedestal, right? And that's when you get slapped off your pedestal. Oh, ouch, crush. Yes. And then you've got to like recycle yourself.
Exactly. Find some. I tell people all the time in the Mysore room in India, when you're practicing, if you like in the sun, we were talking about the sun salutation beforehand, but there are people that will do like a handstand in the sun salutations. If you do that in Mysore, India, Sharat will push you over. He will walk by and just push you over because it's not called for in that part. For our practice, it's not called for in that to do a handstand. So if you do a handstand, he's just going to push you over because that's your ego. And I love it. There's nothing more humiliating than having a param guru of a yoga lineage walk by and push you out of your handstand. Right? She goes on to... Oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
Well, she goes on to say, please have mercy on those you see around you who are struggling to evolve spiritually. Hold the mirror up to your own face first before judging others. It is true that light workers can tend to get into a space of feeling superior. Perhaps they feel more advanced because they dedicated an hour or two every day to meditation while others do not. Each must be responsible for his or her own journey. You cannot truly know what any brother or sister does, knows, or believes within their own heart. So do not judge anybody else. Yeah?
Absolutely. That's really what it's about. Live and let live. And if you observe someone harming another, get involved or do what you need to, or absolutely. You can't also stand back and let others be harmed. You've got to practice discernment. If you see someone harming a child, what are you going to say? Well, it's their karma. Or you see someone beating an animal, oh, it's the animal's karma. No, it's your karma to maybe
to say something.
To be of assistance. Absolutely. Yeah. We then act on what we feel. We act on how we choose, because that makes us the people that we are, the choices we make and the actions we take.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice.
When you and he said that earlier in a tablet, like when you see evil being done, speak up and say something. So yeah, exactly. Again, like the whole gossip thing, there is discernment here. So like if you see somebody hurting someone else, say something. But if nobody's hurt, if your next door neighbor is totally asleep and has gotten 3 or 4 zappers by now and is going to the bar on Thursday night, as long as he's not hurting you, you have to let him follow his path. But if your next door neighbor is hurting a child or doing something in the process, then you speak up, right? So there is discernment here. So tablet 3, verse 13. If thou be great among men, be honored for knowledge and greatness. And I'm going to actually go back and reread Doriel's commentary on this one too, but let's go ahead and read Thoth's commentary in modern English. If you desire to be known as a great man or great woman, let people see your greatness. Yes, let people share freely the knowledge that you have accumulated. Lording.
Walk your talk.
Yes. So you don't need to sit there and say, I'm so great. This is what I've done. No, people will see it on you. Lording.
You will know them by their fruits, right? That's really
Exactly.
what that is. Yeah.
I dated, so in the Ashtanga world, because the Ashtanga lineage is so heavy in philosophy, and like we have to learn Sanskrit, we have to go through all these different academic, and I think, oh, there you are. I was like, did you leave? You have to do all these things in the Ashtanga that are very academic. So the Ashtanga lineage will attract a certain type of person sometimes who is very intelligent. There are a lot of people in the Ashtanga lineage who have PhDs, all that kind of stuff. And I dated this guy briefly in the Ashtanga lineage who was one of those people that had like multiple degrees. And he would often bash people who wore their Gucci or Versace labels. But I would look at him and I would say, well, you wear your degrees like a label. You're not afraid to tell people how many degrees you have. You made me feel, when I lived in Los Angeles, I was very close to going back for a master's at UCLA. And I didn't do it. I ended up not doing it, which thank God I didn't do it. And he would like say mean things to me all the time because I never did that. I didn't get my master's. Like he was always judging people by the level of their education, which is that's no different than judging someone by if they're a label whore, if they're, it's just pride. It's just pride. And now I look at that because he's one that doesn't know what's going on. He totally bought the narrative. So I want to be like, this is a lesson for you. Like anyway. So when I read that, I was like, yes, this person is out there toting and showing everyone how many degrees he has. What's the point of that? What's the point of that? Why can't you just show your level of wisdom and knowledge by the kindness and the intelligence you exude in your Mysore room? Why can't you show your intelligence that way instead of constantly pointing out how many universities you've been to? Who cares? Sounds like a pretty boring life to me, to be honest with you. But so that's I like that they kind of brought that up, that you should not have to go around telling everybody how smart you are or how much wisdom you have. It should just be seen on you, right? So Shishat contributes her wisdom. She says it can be easy to feel like, oh, sorry. I was reading the wrong one. Okay. Lording knowledge over people will never prove that you are a great person. Perhaps people will fear you, yet they will not come to you for counsel. Always go back to your own heart and look for guidance as your own purpose. Why are you here? And they have this in bold here. Why are you here? Why? It doesn't matter why anybody else is here. Why are you here? Right?
Exactly.
If
we all allowed that to sink in, if every person just sat for a minute and just allowed ourselves just to ask the question, why am I here? And just sat for 5 minutes, I'll tell you something, the world will change within a second, because that will give you insight and wisdom. And then suddenly the projecting is not on a negative level anymore. It's coming from a very different space. Now you're connecting as opposed to projecting.
Yeah. Yes. It's one of my, I talk about this, Alan Watts, who was, for those who don't know, he was like one of the original Westerners to bring Eastern philosophy to the Western world. He's written a lot of great books and he has a lot of lectures on YouTube. He's long since passed away, but somebody asked him, the big question, like, what's the point of life? Why are we here? And he said something so profound. He said, the point of life is to be alive. It's to be alive.
What else? Enjoy yourself, enjoy your life, enjoy your body, enjoy your experience, really.
Why are you here? Well, first and foremost, you're here to be alive. And I want to like really push that forward because like we have this like savior complex where we're either waiting to be saved or we want to save someone else. And I think we see this big time in our quote unquote truther community where we want to be the ones to save. We're here to save. We're here to, and yes, you might have a role in your dharma in the macro to be a whistleblower. That might be part of it. But no, why are you really here? You're really here for you, to heal your own wounds, to turn and look inside yourself, to look at the man in the mirror. You know, that's why you're really here. And that's why, and I think we're preaching to the choir, because I think most of our viewers absolutely get this, because we had over 600 people doing the 30-day shadow work challenge. So, and our signal group is still popping and going and strong. And, you know, I think that we're going to have even more people for the 60-day challenge. So I think people do understand this, but how profound is that to hear that coming from Thoth? You're here. And the more I find, at least in my experience, the more I heal myself, the more I make myself and my spiritual journey and my learning a priority, the more everything else in my life outside of myself lines up. The more the macro starts to make sense, right? So they ask, why are you here? Are you here to be known as someone great, or to be known as one who truly reached others through the wisdom and gentleness of your heart? Shishat contributes her wisdom. It takes a great heart to realize the importance of showing your wisdom along with gentleness. To have a gentle heart does not equate with having a weak heart. So don't be a pushover. So don't be a martyr. Being a martyr is not service to others. That is the law of one talks about martyrs that's negative.
That's inverted ego.
It's
actually inverted ego. Yeah.
Don't be a martyr. So let me read that again. Shishat says, to have a gentle heart does not equate with having a weak heart. You can still stand up for yourself. You can still create boundaries, but you can also do that with a gentle heart. Gentleness means to handle people, life, animals, and earth, and all that you encounter with a gentle approach. Set this as your intention, and all will be well. Those who truly know will see that a person willing to seek the gentle way is far more powerful than one who would go about it as a roaring lion. It takes more power to see life through the non-threatening eyes of a gentle heart than to always be poised to force your will upon others. True power,
right?
Yes. True power is found within yourself. Let me read this again. True power is found within yourself. It includes your confidence in your own abilities, your own divinity. True power never feels threatened. True power never feels threatened. Sit with your guidance, pass through the filter of your own heart, be still and know.
So true. True power never feels threatened. That is absolutely true. And when because someone who's truly in their power understands that we all have our unique and individual role to play. There's enough for everyone. So we then stop fearing not having, because that fear of not having or not being good enough or fearing not achieving whatever it is the thing that creates greed, right? Yeah. So when we know that I am this part, this unique piece of the puzzle for this entire universe, no one else matches that. This is what I need to be. So when you know who you need to be for yourself, then you allow others to be that for themselves too.
You don't feel threatened by others.
Well, you can't. How can you? Because you realize that you are the only one that is there for your part.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
There's a seat for everyone at the table.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a seat for everyone at the table. There's enough abundance. There's enough light to go around. It's not exactly and I said this with Amanda, who I think might be watching right now. Our episode is going to be dropping at 10 this morning, and I think we were talking about this we can't all be Mr. T. We can't all be Mr. B. We can't all be Jesse Zaboter. We can't all be Shanti. We can't all be Brice. We can't all be Amanda, who's a beyond quantum healer. It would be a shit show if we all did the same thing. We would get nowhere. We would be in a rut. If we all were Reiki masters or light healers or whatever, or we are all yoga teachers, we would get nowhere. So we all have a very valuable part to play. Our friend Catherine Edwards says this, she uses the analogy of a sports team. If you had a sports team and a soccer team or a football team, as it's said elsewhere in the world, if everybody was the goalie, there would be no game. They would all just be standing at the goal, right? Like there would be, there would be no more game.
Well, each person, if we think about it, that's what I always say as well, with that, it's like each person has their position on the field. If you're playing soccer or rugby or cricket or whatever it might be, each person has their position on the field and you play as a team. So I'm not versed in your position as wing or goalie if I'm playing center forward, right? I'm versed, and together we all have our unique individual way in which we do things that works collectively. So it's up to us to see what position am I playing in this life, in this game called Beautiful Life. And that's what I'm saying. So everyone thinks that they have to be the wing or the sprinter or whatever it is. That's not true. And the minute we then stop projecting by finding the inner balance, and that's what he's saying, anyone who says harmful words or tries to hurt another is because they haven't found their balance yet on the inside. A person who's balanced and at ease and has that knowledge and that wisdom is not going to go out and try and compete with another for something that they really have no business doing just because they can.
Right.
You choose wisely. Not every opportunity is there to be grabbed for you. Grab. Some you let go. And that's how you become wise at choosing. You like smell. Your intuition tells you, nah, not working there. It doesn't matter why, just know. Yeah. You don't have to dig in and sit for 6 months and then understand why. It's just, no. And then you say, yeah, I want to go there. You kind of feel where you want to be. But that's when you become more balanced. That's what happens. You become more intuitive. You become more connected. You become more grounded and yet elevated at the same time. So...
yeah. I mean, Amanda and I spoke about this too. Like, if you look at the team analogy, everybody wants to be the famous superstar, the famous sports figure. But in my opinion, one of the most valuable people on that team is the damn water boy.
Exactly.
If there were no water boy, the team wouldn't run. And that's what and we look at this battle that's happening right now that we find ourselves in, the very, very obvious battle of good versus evil. No person on this side on our team of light, no person's job is more valuable than the next, right? There's no, you are just as valuable as the good military. You are just as valuable as anybody. Even if you don't have a platform, it doesn't matter. You're just as valuable because you're here at this time doing your work and doing your assignment. And that is I just really want to stress that, because that whole, and again, I think it goes back to the lionizing of people. Like, we got to stop that, because you are just as valuable as any other person. And speaking of discernment, we come into that on tablet 3, verse 14. So the original translation says, if thou seeketh to know the nature of a friend, ask not his companion, but pass a time alone with him. Debate with him, testing his heart by his words and his bearing. So this goes all the way back again to gossip. So if you want to know about somebody's character, don't ask other people. Go hang out with that person and see what they're like for yourself. Thoth's commentary in modern English is, spending time with a person whom you wish to know more about is the only fruitful way to gain understanding of that person. Speak about several topics together, enjoying conversations, and you will easily be able to read his nature. You can tell not only by his or her words, but by the vibrational essence which they exude. Shishat says, when getting to know a person, be sure that you put in the effort to spend time with them. To simply ask a companion about that person could give you a faulty opinion. Why? Because everyone has their own filters. You are the one wanting to know more about the person, right? There is only you can assess whether this is someone you desire to have in your inner circle or not. Spend time with them without the judgments of another person clouding your vision. Pay attention to how you feel when you are connecting with this person. Pay attention to your gut and your heart. The heart will never lie to you. We talked about that last week. Remember how we talk about discernment. Pay attention to any red flags that are coming up, and always come from a place of being merciful. Perhaps this person is in your path so that you can be a trusted advisor to them. If it is a love interest, Remember, you are not looking for a fixer-upper, but a person in vibrational harmony with you. Ladies specifically, that man already has a mama. You don't need to be his second mama.
Absolutely. And we tend to do that so well, right? Want to fix.
If you're turning into his mama, there might be a problem because you're not his mama. He already got one of those, right? Red flags when considering a love interest are meant to be a warning that must be heeded. We could go into greater detail with another book for now, but pay attention and protect yourself from getting into energy draining romantic relationships. So it's interesting that the female thought didn't say anything about romantic relationships, but the girl was like, hold on, we got to talk about this. We got to have a little heart.
South, of course, is the god of the moon, okay, which is the planet that governs the female energy, and water, right? It controls the ebb and the flow of the tides in the ocean. So, of course, the girl's going to tune into that.
Yes.
She has to.
Well, and so, I something was made very clear to me a few years ago. As women, sometimes I think we're looking for like passionate and dramatic relationships and all that kind of stuff. But if there's drama in that constant, like, just you're on nerves in a relationship, that's your nervous system telling you like something's not right. The healthiest relationships out there are the ones that are kind of meh, where you're not driving each other crazy. You're not, you're very, there's a trust, and I've dated guys before where I've constantly been worried whenever they've been out without me. Like, are they cheating on me? Every time their phone goes off, I'm suspicious. And I've now dated guys where I don't worry at all. Where I just know they're not cheating on me. I know that. I know they're not. I know their phone's not, there's nothing. And I'm telling you, the relationships where you feel that trust are so much healthier for you and your life. So don't get confused. The drama, the passion, don't confuse toxicity with passion.
Absolutely.
They're two different things. So
when the relationship is healthy, it's like you can be going through a rough time in your relationship, and I always say, look at nature, because humans and nature are the same. Think about a tree, okay? The tree could have gone through a storm and had its leaves and branches knocked off and looking all shabby, but the root system is still strong, right? So it's just a matter of time before it grows back. So as long as your root system is strong, but then you get those that have got a rotting root system, and you see that, and they're in the wrong environment, and they're not flourishing because they're not in the right environment. So think about us as well. When we're not in the right environment, we don't flourish. So it's up to you to take yourself and put yourself in a healthy environment, because no one else is going to do that for you. Otherwise, you're just going to become sick, literally sick.
And I think for women too, we've been fed this like false sense of like, look at all the Disney princesses that we grew up with, and the fairy tales where the man comes in and rescues. The man. No man's going to rescue you. And I think that's what a healthy relationship is when each person rescues themselves. You are your knight in shining armor. And so I want to express that even to men too. Like, a woman's not going to complete you. A man's not going to complete you. You have to, and if you want to be in a healthy relationship, then you need to get healthy within yourself first. You need to, people say, date yourself for a while. Just date yourself for a while, and then the right person will come. All right. So this takes us to verse 15. That which goeth into the storehouse must come forth, and the things that are thine must be shared with a friend. So Thoth says in modern English, what you put away for a rainy day will wither and mold if not used when need arises. It is far better to share what you have with those in need than to hoard it all for yourself. I think that's a direct message to the Lucy's.
I'm not a big hoarder, so I totally agree. There'll be a couple of things I keep that have great sentimental value, and honestly, they don't even, it's not even a kissed, like a that it would fill. There are a couple of things, and I think that get rid of something. If your trash is someone else's treasure, don't wait until no one can use it anymore. Um, if you haven't used something, or if you haven't worn clothes for 2 years,
Oh yeah.
share them, give them away. I tell you, our staff here are Malawians, and every time I would get rid of my clothes, and lots of them, and really some of them still had their labels on. She
Yeah.
was so happy for me because her daughter in Malawi loved my style. So her daughter was wearing all my clothes. And
I
half of Malawi is wearing my wardrobe. I love it. I get pictures.
Ah, well, I just did that. I am like my mother's not a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder. And then getting into a spiritual practice, I got even less. I became even less of like I am. I want to be able. Everything is very simple in my life. Very simple. I actually just recently had to order a purse because I realized I didn't actually have a purse as a woman. I just had a backpack, so I had to actually order one so that I can wear nice clothes and go to nice things. But I went when Stephanie was here, I went through my closet and I gave her a trash bag full of clothes, that yoga clothes, because I just don't even wear anymore. And I get given a lot of stuff. So I get given here to promote products. And so I have a shit ton of pants in the past that have had tags on them and, that I just never wore. And yes, it's so much better. And it makes you feel better when you declutter your
Yeah.
life. You feel better.
Do you know how much joy it gives me to see photographs of the young girls in Malawi wearing my clothes and them all posing? It is so beautiful. I just want to send them all there now. That is like amazing, It
It's
really
so
is cool.
amazing. It's so
Yeah.
amazing. And that goes with with food. I mean, I know I know we've all are kind of scared that something's going to happen and we need to stock up on food and all that kind of stuff, but are you willing to share that food with others who need to eat? There's
Absolutely.
many times, especially when I lived in LA with homeless people begging for money, I would go buy them food. I would take them to a fast food restaurant and say, "What do you want? I will buy you food. I will get you what you need." He goes on to say, hoarding is an emotional state that extends far beyond money or wealth. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
allow the energy of
Oh,
hoarding
yeah.
to overtake your life, you will find yourself in an unhappy state. You may begin to hoard time, relationships, even energy. Be wary of the sneaky darkness. So he calls it a sneaky darkness. If you see your brother in need, take that which you have put aside and share it with him. Always follow your guidance on this. There are some who are in need as part of their life lesson and must come to their own understanding. If every person gave when and where guided, there would be no poverty in the world. The universe is always listening to the voices of those in need. There is a life plan of giving and receiving for all of life. Sharing from guilt does not bring joy. Sharing when guided brings about great joy. A state of joy
That
causes yeah.
is so imperative. I've been saying this to my students for many, 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 many years. If you give a beggar or a homeless person money because you feel so bad and they're going to get cold tonight, that is so the wrong energy, because all you're doing is perpetuating that cycle. What
Yeah.
I do, and invariably when I give people money, I will try and give them paper money, not coins. So they're getting a minimum of $10 or $20 from me. Firstly, it's a sense of value you give that person. They're not just getting coins. And I look them straight in the eye and I go, there you go, dude. Enjoy it. You're worth so much more than this. Have a great day, or enjoy, buy whatever it is you want. And sometimes I'll get 100 Rand from me. Sometimes I will go and I'll buy them food, and I'll just come out of the shop and just give him a packet of groceries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Enjoy. So it's so important not to give from that guilt space, because that is you. That person that you are giving to from that space of guilt is perpetuating your own poverty consciousness when you do it from that place. Always remember that. Every person is a mirror. So when you are giving from guilt, how many times when people have guilt of others not having, we will be walking down the street and every beggar or anything will come to that person because they energetically know that this person can't say no. So they end up having this tug and this argument, and I don't have more, and I wish I had more. And you know what I'm saying? I've seen it happen so many times. So you've got to come from that place of, right, I understand I have more than others, and I would love to share some of what I have.
Yeah.
That's the place you come from, not this, oh my God, the kids in Africa are starving. I'm not saying they're not, but that's patronizing. And when you do it from that place, you are re-looping your own sense of poverty consciousness, your own you might be very, very rich, but if you are doing that, you might have megabucks, but there's a sense of poverty consciousness in other areas of your life, maybe health, maybe relationships, maybe your relationships with your kids, maybe your kids on drugs or running around there's something not right. And that's what I'm saying. Energy is so tricky. It's going to show its face. It's going to show that negative face in so many areas in your life. But you've got to realize it's coming from the same common source, which would then be, in this case, guilt. There's a pool of guilt that you are drawing from that never has a positive outcome, ever.
Well, there's also, I'm thinking too, like almost a superiority when you're looking at situations where, oh, I'm so superior so that because I can give to these people. But it's arrogance. But as Ram Dass says, treat everybody like they're God dressed in drag. That homeless person, that starving child in Africa, that starving child in India, they're the same as you. They're the same spark of life as you are. So, yes. So Shishat says, my beloved Thoth has spoken well. I would add a few more things to consider. We are all sources of food for something. We all give and receive life and nourishment. Consider this. A plant receives rain and nourishment from the earth. We receive the plant as we eat it. Perhaps the plant is food for animals, and they are also consumed. Humans are a source of food for thousands of parasites, bacteria, and viruses in every moment. Let us take this into the realm of spirit. When humans exude negative energy, they become food for chaos energies to feast upon. This can be a trap as the chaos energies stir up more strife in order to keep their food source growing. Beings of light are very attracted to humans when they are in a state of happiness and bliss. They warm themselves by the fire of your good energy. Happiness begets more happiness. It is good to share happiness with a friend. When you are in a happy state, reach out to a friend who could use some uplifting words or energy. The storehouse need not be thought of as only a place for money. The storehouse of your energy is far more valuable. For with the right energy and the right state of mind, much wealth of all things accumulates naturally. And that's where she ends. I mean, no truer word spoken.
Exactly.
And it's funny too. Like I think about this a lot. Like, we look at things like jealousy. Like when one of my friends does really well in life, gets a great job, or meets a really good partner, or gets married, I genuinely feel happy for them because their happiness is contagious. And the people who are low energy might feel a sense of jealousy, right?
Absolutely.
So, your energy is far more valuable than your money.
It's so true. It's like if someone else's son, let's say your and my sons were competing for the same scholarship, and your son won it and mine didn't. It's as important for me to be as excited for you as what I would be if it was my own son. Because what happens then is the energy I'm putting out there would enable me to attract what's mine for my son.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So instead of being jealous, I can go, wow, I am so happy he found his place.
Yeah.
And I know that we are so close to finding ours, just watching you find yours. And I'm so excited for us to arrive around the corner any moment now.
And that's a good point. You're talking about that, like there's a scholarship and one kid won and your kid didn't. Well, then that scholarship obviously wasn't for your kid. There's something else for your kid. And so you'd be happy. Yes, because you're that, and that again, I guess it goes back to that. But there's a place at the table for everyone. No one's life is here by mistake. No one's a mistake. Everyone is here because everyone's here on purpose. So
And it's so important that, Brice, sorry, just on that point, I don't mean to interrupt you, but when you say there's a place for everyone at the table, and going back to what we were saying earlier on, if you have the desire, and this is what I do with myself as well, and I promise you it works. If you have the desire to gossip about someone or say a shitty thing about others, turn that around and say something good about them. Force yourself to say something good, at least 3 good things. For every 1 bad thing you want to think or say or think 3 good things. Whether they've got a nice body, whether they're a good mom, or she cares for animals. I love that she's cares for animals. That might be all, but we have to train ourselves. We are so used to being in the negative. Really, we are. We have to train ourselves, how to create ahimsa, non-violence in our own minds, because that's where it begins, with a seeded thought, the would have, could have, should have, why didn't I, if only I have, I'm going to do this if I get that opportunity, whatever. All those thoughts are violence, you see. So when we think them, we put it out there, and then we attract experiences that match that. So it starts with you being gentle with yourself, and then consciously turning your thought process or your verbalization around. So say nice things. I mean, Cyril Ramaphosa, I'm sorry, he's my nemesis. So I have now consciously decided that he's good. You see our battle? I'm trying, guys. You see, I'm trying. I really am trying. It's very hard for me to think cool thoughts about my president, because I just know too much about him. But somewhere in him, I know there's something, and I'll find it as well.
I say that about Mr. B. I'm like, well, at least it's funny. At least it's a comedy hour every time he does a press conference. So
exactly, you got to see this as the stage. It's like this game of life, this stage performance we're all on. It's very funny, actually.
I mean, Shakespeare said it best: the whole world's a stage. All men and women are merely actors, right?
Totally. So, I use that analogy a lot. You're just the main actor in this movie, and you're the main director in your own movie. Everyone else is a co-star. Why did you choose them as a co-star? What do you need to see in you?
Yeah.
What Absolutely. Role are they playing in your movie? It's lots of fun. Yeah.
Well, anyway. I think that's a good stopping point, since we're at an hour, and we can pick up again with 3.4 next week. Guys, the 3rd tablet, it's a lot. So, but it's awesome, right?
Listen, it's so great. We could even do part what's it now, 4, right?
Yeah.
On Wednesday, on Wellness Wednesday, unless we have something else planned, but we will let you guys know.
If you guys want us to keep going, it's kind of a wellness thing too, isn't it? These tablets.
Yeah. We can do on Wednesday for part 4, but we'll keep you guys updated. And I hope you're enjoying this as much as what I am, because it really is what I'm hearing. Yeah, it goes in line with everything I teach and put out there anyway, and it's just beautiful ways of decoding this stuff, and it really is just wonderful ways of living your life.
Yeah,
and feeling in charge of who you are.
It takes away the mystique, because I know so many people have misinterpretations of Thoth and Emerald Tablets, and this must be super evil, and they won't even look. It's that discernment, right? They won't even read it for themselves to see what it's saying. And when you read it for yourselves, you realize how much wisdom is being imparted in these tablets. And it's just fascinating, and I'm loving this. I'm so grateful that these tablets stumbled upon my path. Again, I'm shout out to Billy Carson, who is one of probably the leading researchers into these tablets. And so I always cross-check my research now with the Emerald Tablets, because he is just amazing. So if he's watching right now, I'd love to get you on a show, Billy Carson, but I know you're a busy man. So, but anyway, guys, so thank you so much, Shanti. Let's keep going.
Well, if you get him on the show, he's dang well coming on the show
for
too.
Sure. I've emailed him once.
So I can pull your ears onto the show.
I've emailed him once, and I don't want to be like a stalker and be like, so I'm gonna give it like maybe after the holidays, I'll reach out to him again and be like that pestering gnat that's like, come to a show with Shanti and me.
The only way is to stalk them, and then when they're here, they're never ever going to want to go, because then they get all what's the word, intoxicated.
They become our friends.
Intoxicated with our bubbles.
Well, I think in my email, I actually put your channel in there. I was like, I work with Aquarius Rising Africa. I was like, come please.
Yeah, come and play. Well, who knows?
Well, to our viewers, if you're watching, our friends watching right now, if you follow Billy Carson on YouTube and his platform Forbidden Knowledge, that's what it's called, Forbidden Knowledge. He's one of us, guys. He's one of us. Maybe if y'all could just leave in his comment sections.
Please do
How about doing a show with Esoteric Atlanta and Aquarius Rising Africa?
Well, yes. Okay, guys, we're asking you that, please. Do we even have a link? What's it called? Forbidden Knowledge, and it's Billy Carson.
Forbidden Knowledge. I think he has multiple YouTube channels, to be honest with you. I'll have to go back and look. He's a for real. Like, I feel like I research as a hobby. No one pays me for research, but he is someone that legit gets paid for research. Like, he's the real deal. Like, he is, and he has a whole talk about how Lucifer is the god of the Bible. We've talked about that. So a lot of stuff that he talks about, like, that's what made me, when I first found his platform and I started binge watching his videos, I was like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. Thank you, God. Like, this like serious researcher actually is finding the same information I'm finding, and I'm a serious researcher too. Why I say this is like, I've been a yoga teacher all these years and I'm a nerd who likes to study, but this guy does it for a living, and writes books about this stuff. So when I find that he has found or come to the same conclusion that I've come to independently, that makes me feel proud of myself. But Billy Carson is fantastic. He's fantastic. He's an American. He's fantastic. So I actually want to talk to him about Tartaria, because that's the one subject I have not seen him talk about yet. So I'd love to see his take on that. So if you guys can do us a solid, be our wingmen and wingwomen. Yeah.
Can we go stalk that channel, please? Please. Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge.
Forbidden Knowledge, yes. The podcast is called Forbidden Knowledge, yes. So he's fantastic. If you just type in Billy Carson into the search tube on YouTube, it'll all come up. That's how big he is. YouTube doesn't struggle to find him.
Let's go stalk him and learn from him. Tell he's in for a treat.
Yes. Be like, we got lots of women.
With Aquarians. He's in for a treat with the Aquarians.
So yes, you guys go out there and let's get this guy, because he's amazing. He's amazing. And he's got such an academic look at if you have people who are just starting to wake up or questioning things, send them to, obvious Aquarius Rising Africa, but Billy Carson has a very just academic look at things, and it's just, he's just very, he had one time, Shanti, he had this pastor on his show who left being a pastor because he realized that there were aliens in the Bible. And then he started doing research on the Council of Nicaea. And I was like, yes, keep going. But it was just so fantastic because he has these great guests on there that are a lot like us, people that just woke up and were like, wait a minute, something's not right here. So yes, fantastic. We absolutely need him to join the Aquarius Rising family because he's awesome. So
absolutely, yeah. Brice, fabulous as always. Thank you for joining me. And
thank you.
Thea in the back room. Mona is not here today, guys, but Thea's in the back room. Thank you, Thea. Thank you, all you beautiful people, for watching our show and keeping us company. And we really enjoy having you in the chats. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday, because I think we do chapter or section 4 of the third one.
Yeah.
On Wednesday. So we'll keep you updated. Keep your eye on the channel. So we'll just let you know the timing and everything. Yay. God bless you all.
Bye, everybody.
Take care. And don't forget,